message you in game, I think. So we need to go to Eagle Slayer. Is that even sending messages? Not seeing that go through. Okay, we have the French. The French have arrived, as have Aragon. Oh, what is this? Have Aragon just declared their own war? Aragon have joined. How have Aragon joined? They have a truce with Portugal, which would suggest that Portugal had given it up. Mid-war alliance is so gay. Well, that's... One, don't use gay in that context, but... They had a truce. I didn't think you could make an alliance while you have a truce. Now, I wonder... If Castile tried to make France a co-belligerent, though that would seem like a very stupid move to do. Now we have to consider that Castile does start out the gate with their plus 15% morale of armies, which is actually better than France. Early game France is actually kind of squishy, although they do seem to have some pretty good leaders, and of course they have just a big manpower pool and a lot of troops. Who's England at war with? England is currently at war with Ormond and Clanricarde. So England have started their push into Ireland, which is probably going to scare Kildare a little bit. Kildare have a truce with England for 5 years, but nothing else, and they are adjacent to the Pale, so they could well be a target. Once again, we have this fight. Portugal this time being sent away, Castile coming out the victor, but the French and the Aragonese armies pouring across the border there. And of course Aragon brings in Navarre and Naples into this war as well, so they've absolutely got naval superiority. So I'm going to guess that Aragon was asking for payment or something from France in order to enter this conflict. Or maybe they were just waiting to see how Portugal did early on, kind of hedging their bets. I'd probably guess that would be a little more likely. The Portuguese army running away, Castile being forced back towards their home territories. We have two very large French stacks moving in. Kildare accepted vassalization. They did. They're a March of England. Well, that's interesting. Because I know that Kildare was planning to go a colonial route. I can't actually see their other ideas right now, which is kind of annoying. Actually, that's not true. I can go in here. Because I think that they have some colonial stuff. Improved relations, morale of armies, tech cost, cav ability, construction cost, manpower, prestige. They don't have any colonial stuff. Interesting. Because I know some of the Irish miners do have colonial ability, but they apparently are not one of them. Right, let's go back to the Castile fight, because that's definitely the most interesting thing going on right now. Although we do have the Timurids still fighting their battle. We have the Daviet over here, who are doing what exactly? Daviet are at war with Champa. I'm going to guess that's just purely for expansion. That's going down here into the south. We have got Seraphicus in Morocco, fighting probably against Tlemcen. They are indeed against Tlemcen, so this is Morocco trying to expand while Iberia is otherwise occupied. I know that Morocco is terrified of that Thunderdome and what's going to come out of it. Then we've got Ethiopia also at war, probably just with their neighbours for a little bit of expansion. That is indeed correct. We have the Ottomans at war, probably against Byzantium. Rip Byzantium. You got another province, I think. But yeah, they're going to die there. England, we know, is at war with Ireland. And then we have Muscovy probably still beating up on Novgorod. That is indeed the case. But no, let's move back over here. Let's see if the French are trying to bring in any other forces. They're not. And the French did not... Wait. I hate the fact that it doesn't show you their diplomacy. I was going to say, France has vassals, don't they? How come the vassals aren't in this? Did they get rid of their vassals? It looks that way. Because Provence starts as a vassal. And I think it's very interesting that Normandy was released to prevent the main exchange. So England definitely looks like they've still got territorial ambitions on the continent, which is a dangerous move. Castile loading up the troops. I'm going to guess that these are mercenaries. They are indeed. How is Castile's economy looking? They've taken a bunch of loans. That is a lot of money in the red there. They are currently 32 loans. See, this is another problem that Calico makes. He takes out all the money at once rather than over time. So he tends to go massively in debt, starts hemorrhaging money and interest. Like, you do not need to pay this much interest for this long. There is absolutely no reason to take that many loans. He's just taken out the absolute maximum number of loans to fight this war, and then he often complains that he runs out economically. Like, he is a strong military player. Part of the reason, I think, is because he tries to scare his opponents just through sheer weight of numbers. But this is going to horribly backfire. So even if he does end up winning this war, which is unlikely, I mean, you're Castile, you're a big nation, you can afford to lose a little bit of territory. You then need to start looking abroad. Look who France's rivals are, look who Portugal's are, look who Aragon's are. Maybe get an agreement going with Morocco or something like that. Because I know that Morocco would like to have some friends in Iberia. Although Calico would need to do quite a lot to assuage his diplomatic reputation, because he's definitely coming into this with a little bit of baggage from the previous game. And again, he was the first one who declared a player war. He declared this one. Or go colonial, that is also true. But he needs to shore up his borders, especially if Aragon and France start to ally with each other against him. Portugal, I can see being less belligerent. Portugal, I think, would be fairly happy with just a non-aggression pact with Calico, but how much can you trust that? That would be another question. Yeah, right now it looks like a dead Castile is going to come out of this, so I wonder what Portugal and Aragon are trying to get out of this. Aragon are probably going to try and get Murcia so that they can crawl into Granada more easily. Portugal, maybe Galicia. Galicia is quite wealthy. And it would also be just a little bit of extra distance that Castile would have to travel before going colonial. At what point does Castile get their colonial ideas? Not until Inter Cetera, which is 2 idea groups in. So that's going to be a while. While Portugal's are definitely earlier. That's still Castile. There we are. You start with trade efficiency, trade range, colonial range. So Portugal basically gets it straight out the gate. Portugal can probably reach Brazil as soon as they get exploration ideas. And they are going to need to take exploration to do this. Portugal just took a stability hit for some reason. Maybe their ruler died. How are the rulers looking? 322, not amazing. He's only 15, so yeah, the ruler just died. Meanwhile, we still have Juan de Trastamara, the 112. He's terrible. This is really what stops Castile being very strong at the start of the game. Then we have Alphonse VI, 343 for you, 424. Does England still... England have lost their 000. That is very good. 553, King Stephen of Lancaster. I approve. Denmark, 322. Poland, 441. And he has gone for Kazimierz Jagiellon, which means, of course, he has the Commonwealth. Poland so far being very quiet. Probably because he's scared of his neighbours, especially Austria, who might try to bully him. Although, if I remember, Austria and Poland are allied, are they not? No. That's Portugal. Yes, they are. Alright, back to the Thunderdome. Yeah, I can't see any way back for Castile from this. Castile's got a looming disaster. That's going to hit in 3 months. They have that treasury. Why do you take so much money at once? You don't need to. That's just a huge waste of resources. And you're going to end up having to pay this back. So even if Castile does somehow end up with a reasonable peace deal, they're going to be hemorrhaging money from their economy. Castile about to be partitioned like Poland in 1772. It's actually clever, since the more stuff is occupied, the less loans you can take. Therefore you get bankruptcy quicker. So is he actually angling towards bankruptcy? That seems like a limited use reaction. I think as soon as Aragon joined, he should have tried to come to terms with Aragon. Say, okay, what do you want from this? I don't want to fight you. And I'll give you a little bit extra if you cancel your access through, for France. Calico has gone for the Death of Glory strat. Yes, he has, and he has been punished for it. Again, Calico's coming into this with a reputation for aggressiveness, so I'm pretty sure that his neighbours were prepared for just this. I'm a little bit surprised that he went after Portugal. I guess he thought that Portugal was the weaker power. I'm a bit surprised that England abandoned Portugal, because Castile can't really do anything to England because rivalry between these two is almost inevitable. And does Calico have any allies at this point? That's still Austria. Castile is allied to England, so I guess England chose Castile as the better ally in this instance. Well, that's just basically solidified France's allies against the English because he's chosen the losing side here. And England hasn't, like, offered to join the war or anything like that. Calico could call him in, and he hasn't. Alright, I definitely sent a message to Eagle Slayer earlier, and it didn't come through, so I guess the Observer can't send messages. How are the numbers looking here? Castile looking rather poor. I mean, Portugal's got quite a lot of war exhaustion. How is Portugal's rebellion risk looking right now? They have a couple of Moroccan separatists down here in Ceuta, but there is a fort there, so it's not a huge issue. France getting their armies together there, that's taking some unnecessary attrition. Castile trying to take out Navarra for some reason. It's a vassal, that's not really going to do you very much. I think that what Castile needs to do is try and pick the defensive fights. These guys are very much on the offensive right now. Yeah, he's hugely outnumbered, but you could at least get some defensive bonuses fighting in the highlands or fighting in the hills, especially if there's some river crossings. You have a 4 maneuver, they have a 2 maneuver, 0 maneuver, 3 maneuver, so you would always get the river crossings in your favour with that higher maneuver, especially at this point in the game. And the allies are moving in, having seen Navarre is under threat. And that's just wasted time for Calico, and also casualties taken through attrition. And of course, the longer this war goes on, the more Castile is going to be suffering financially. Portugal has done this pretty well, actually. They've managed their manpower excellently. They have a tiny bit of professionalism. Castile has used up all of their professionalism. They're out of manpower. They've had to go very heavily into mercenaries. They do have 2 very large stacks over here, so they just need to wait until someone attacks the forts. You shouldn't sit on the fort, you want to kind of let them in. If I were Portugal or Aragon, I'd be stationing a fleet here in Côte d'Argent, so we can see exactly where Castellan's units are, although because they own Navarre, they can see adjacent to Vizcaya. But just in case there are some more hiding back here, I think Calico should be sitting in Cantabria and Vizcaya, or maybe Cantabria and Palencia, and then just waiting for them to go into Burgos and then counter-attacking. Because remember, if you have a fort there, you get the defensive advantage. Sitting here taking 5% attrition for no reason whatsoever. In fact, he's only a 0.4 there. There's no reason for that. Granada, meanwhile, having serious problems with pretenders, apparently. Oh, another thing that Portugal could be doing is blockading. Where is Portugal's fleet? Portugal's fleet is hiding down here. Why? You could be doing a lot of damage in terms of war exhaustion and also a little bit of economic damage to Castile, not to mention war score. And we are over the 50% threshold required to start stab hitting, so if they wanted to start offering a peace deal, they could. But I think at this point the victory is going to be so complete they can basically take what they want. And Calico might well want to do an unconditional surrender to start the clock ticking on the unconditional surrender, because remember, the rules that we're playing with, players have 1 minute to pause during an unconditional surrender, at which point the game is unpaused, because the whole point of the unconditional surrender mechanic is to force a quick peace. Ordinarily, I'd say, yeah, sure, you can pause during a peace deal, they're kind of a big deal. But for the unconditional, you only have the 1 minute. So Castile bringing in some very, very large forces here, still just moving into Burgos, the allies seeming unwilling to go into the forts. Naples has 100% liberty desire. Ooh. That's poorly managed. So what Aragon needs to do here is start spending a little bit of development on Naples to keep them loyal, or else spend some money. Why is that so poor? What have you done to poor Naples? Let's take a quick look at their subjects. Naples, minus 100%. Balance of power. Oh, they're being supported by England, so they'll let their liberty desire drop, go above 50%, which means they can then be supported. If it doesn't go above 50%, they are considered loyal and cannot have their independence supported. And Aragon has very negative prestige because they rejected that first peace deal. And here we go. Big battle. Big, big battle. This is exactly what he needs to do, except that there are no territory advantages here. So, through sheer weight of numbers, he is going to win this fight, which is good, although Aragon rushing to defend, but there are very few reserves left on the field. Aragon needs to be quick. 2 more days, and boom. Okay, so they've arrived. There is no artillery on either side. It's too early for artillery. The French Aragonese side does have a lot more cavalry, and cavalry at this era is huge. Like, this is a very big difference. That cavalry is going to be packing a massive punch. Look at the number of casualties they were taking there during the shock phase. Castile did come out of that one better. Castile's going to have a little bit of time. They probably want to go straight for Toledo, try and just take the forts back, just force them to fight defensive battles. In fact, Toledo might even be the best option. Maybe try and get something like Huesca, because these guys are going to spend a bit of time recovering. Go to Huesca. There's no artillery, so you can't do bombardment. Siege that down, and then basically force them to fight in the mountains. Player psychology usually means that they'll try to retake forts and things that they've lost before starting to counterattack into your territories again. So if you can take Huesca, that's then a defensive siege in mountains, and that could be huge, especially when it comes to defeating France's higher numbers. France is down to 14,000 manpower. Uh-oh. Did we just lose someone?
Hey, Mordred?
Yeah.
Looks like we just lost England. He dropped. What do we want to do about this?
Let's give him a couple of minutes, and then we'll
Alright.
pause, because hot join's still
Sounds
on.
good.
You can just join in. And just remind
Also,
everyone...
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I grow stronger.
Yeah, is things going well?
Reasonably well. I've taken part of Tlemcen, including that level 3 fort. And so...
You must be loving the chaos in Iberia right now.
Oh, yeah, the chaos in Iberia is great.
I mean, we could see it coming from a mile away, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite this brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
alrighty. So, what do you want me to let them know?
Just remind them to set AI.
Yep.
Stuff.
Okay.
Just in case this happens to them.
Yep.
Cool, thanks. Sorry, just double checking my Discord. Helson telling me we lost England, but they have their instructions now. Rebooting into PC. Okay, cool. So yeah, chat does appear and we can't see it. So if it goes, it's gone. So please do let me know if chat appears and I miss it, and tell me just like what it means. One of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers about the dev clash, the official Paradox dev clashes, is when the commentators miss chat. And now commentating myself, I can see you kind of get so focused in certain areas and like talking about certain things that it's very easy to miss the little bits of white text over there. Also, I just noticed my camera is screwed up again. Let's go and sort that out, shall we? Configure camera, turn off auto, because auto sucks. Set focus to 88. There we are. 88 seems to be a good option. So you wanted to know how bad Castile is in debt. They are losing 87 ducats a month. So they're going to go broke in, what, a year-ish? And that's broke. Like, out of the game broke. Because of bankruptcy at this stage, you are going to probably have a fairly long truce, but whether that truce is 10 years, which is how long a bankruptcy lasts, I don't know. And during that time, there is basically no point having an army, because they're always going to be a permanent minus 50% maintenance. No, minus 50% morale. Bacon Killer has taken over Byzantium. He has indeed. In fact, yeah, this would be a good opportunity to just pop around the rest of the world and just take a look to see how the other countries are doing. So we're going to start over here with Dai Viet. Dai Viet no longer at war with Champa. I'm going to guess you did take something from that. If we go into diplomatic map mode, we can see a little bit of cross-hatching. Actually, no. Did Dai Viet lose that? Or maybe Dai Viet was an ally in that war. Oh no, they have cause in these two. So yeah, that's what they took. You have to click on the loser, not the victor. Then over here in Timurid, let's go back to the normal one. Ajam, still fighting over Ajam. This seems to be a bigger war than he was perhaps anticipating. Ethiopia is... Wait, why am I seeing diplomacy now? Why wasn't this working earlier? Oh well, Ethiopia seems to be in a truce. And did they take anything? Who were they fighting? It was... Yeah, they took that. Alright, so Congo. I don't think the Congo has really done much yet. So they're allied to Tio over here, and Lunda, which are these guys. Who are your rivals? You still have no rivals. If I was playing as the Congo right now, I think I'd be rather more aggressive, trying to gobble up as much as the Congo as possible, especially because you know that Portugal is going to be pretty quick out the gate in trying to colonize, and if Portugal's smart, he'll try and take the centers of trade here in the Ivory Coast, because that is critical for the mid to late game, and then also probably send a colonist out to America. Obviously he hasn't got colonists yet, nobody has any idea groups. How are we actually looking for technology? Let's select Portugal. So we've got a 333, 334, so they have actually gone up to mil tech, so Castile has the military advantage, and Tech 4 is an important one because it gives you that extra 0.5 morale and 0.25 military tactics, which can really edge you early on. France is looking fairly close to level 4, Aragon not at all, Portugal not at all. England looking dreadful, but England starts with a terrible ruler, so that's not a real surprise. Portugal's well on their way. Muscovy has now gobbled up a bunch of Novgorod, although they left Novgorod itself. That's interesting. Novgorod is a hugely wealthy province. You might actually want to try and expedite that. Although, Muscovy has completely cut off the Kalmar Union from spreading east. That is actually a good move. That is a very, very good move. I'm just going to jump into Discord for a second. A mega multiplayer game, you say? Stability might be a bit hellish, though. Hasn't been too bad. We've had one player drop, which is why things are paused right now. And Helson, thankfully I'm not the host, otherwise this would be driving me bonkers, is constantly having to press, like, okay, players lagging, players lagging, players lagging. But we seem to be maintaining a pretty decent speed 2. Like, I'd like this to be speed 3, but I'm not that much of an optimist. I know the realities of how E4 goes. I know the realities of people on different internets. And I know that Eagle is currently abroad. He's a military guy. So his internet is going to be a bit dodgy. And we're going to give him a bit of leeway for that because, again, military. I can accept that. But if it slows the game too much, then obviously we'll have to kick them. Apparently Holland is fighting. Someone's Holland fighting? Well, Holland is independent. Where is Holland? There's Holland. That guy is indeed fighting, and he's got a level 3 general.
Oh.
Hello.
Hey, Mordred. I was just wondering if you were looking at my big betrayal of Castile.
I was certainly looking at that, yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. But
so how come you did it?
well, I know that France was saying that I would be losing if I stayed with Castile. So I needed Castile to make the first move.
Right. Yeah, and Castile definitely made their first move going after Portugal, so...
Yeah, I should have let Portugal know what I was planning, but I kind of failed on that part.
How did you get the alliance with Portugal? I didn't think you could get a alliance while you have a truce.
You can, apparently. It's just, they most likely they won't do it, but you can redo the truce, apparently.
That's weird.
Wait.
So did you suffer any stability negatives when you did it?
Hello.
Hello.
No, my stability negative was pretty much when my ruler died.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, we got a Bob rejoining. Who's that? Blue Kiwi, what's up?
Hello. That was an interesting start. Castile, Calico had promised me he would not attack as long as I did not ally France.
Right.
So I didn't ally France, and then Aragon broke the alliance right before Castile declared war.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought that both Aragon and England had abandoned you in your time of need, and I thought, okay, this is looking bad.
I know. I wasn't surprised about England because they hadn't messaged me pre-game, but
yeah,
me and Aragon had been talking.
But they did get you back eventually.
They did,
when they saw you were winning. Like, that fight at the beginning was critical. How on earth did you win that? You had no morale.
I didn't win it.
I thought you did. I thought Castile was retreating.
Yeah, one of the battles you won, QE. But I was trying to get an alliance before he started winning, because I was trying to fool Castile at the very beginning.
Right.
I have taken quite a few loans. I did merc up heavy right at the start of that war.
Mm-hmm. Probably wise.
We're back in.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
we are.
Time to go back to...
Yeah, get back to your alliances, guys. Fight the war. Win. Oh wait, dual community clash with Magnu Mordred commentary for Imperator Rome. I'd be so down for that. That would be absolutely awesome, Ben. I want into that game. I also want Imperator in my directory. I think we could get a lot of people. Like, if it was going to be a community game, if we got all of your community, Ben, and all of mine, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm down for that. Are mid-war allowances implied in the game? Yeah. That's that part of the whole thing with negotiations. Like, you need to understand who might have other stakes in this war, like Aragon joining. I'm a bit surprised the game mechanics allowed that, though, because Aragon did have a truce with Portugal. Or was it Castile? Because half the time I'm like clicking one country and then this doesn't update. And then I don't... Oh, I know why. It's because I'm clicking on that country. So you don't get diplomacy for your own country. So if I click on somebody else, then I get the diplomacy relevant. Right, that's what's happening. Teething issues. Teething issues. I'm not used to commentating. This is new. Like, this is the first time I've ever done this. I've done a couple of, like, just watching as an observer, which is how I know, like, how these buttons work. And knowing that control will switch you to that country. But when it comes to the more fiddly bits, it's all new. I don't know, in that game it ruins diplomacy. Like Castile, obviously, diplomacy is with the guys and then start losing and just betray and join the other side. No, if you betray and then join the other side, you... Yeah, see, this is why I need to know whether Portugal had a truce with Aragon. Yeah, Portugal does have a truce with Aragon. Huzzah! Hey, Sparrowhawk, thank you very much for the resubscription. 6 months now. Keep up the commentary. Onwards to partnership. I am so happy that this stream is doing well. Thank you everyone for turning up, really. This is fantastic. It's going to mean that I can keep on doing the EU4 games on Sundays. And as I've said a couple of times, I was terrified we wouldn't get the viewership because generally the multiplayer games do worse than the single players. So I am so happy that this is doing well. Thank you everyone. It means I don't have to do just Total War for an entire month. I can have 4 sessions of another game. Well, 1 a week.